Okay, fourth beer review of the day. This is a good beer. I'm doing this one literally at the same time as my friend Mr. Andrew Lynch is doing it on chat with the boys on Messenger. So I've got a fresh glass, I've got a bottle, and this is The N-Word by Richie Brookes from Brookes Brewery. So let's crack this one. I'm hoping this has got Nelson in it and it's not just some sort of play on Nipah. Oh, Jesus Christ, that smells good. Oh man. Yeah, that smells really good actually. So, what we have is a Nelson Pale Ale, slightly murky bombed, which is just how we like it. And the smell, straight off the bat, I'm getting quite a lot of that Nelson grapey, fruity kind of, the Nelson smell that you expect. I don't know what other hops are in this. I'm presuming it's just Nelson. I've deliberately not put the recipe up on this screen right here. Now that's oxidized to hell, that is. I'm joking. Right, so straight away there's a lot of hops in there, so you've got that big, this is lots of hops kind of beer. I'm getting the grapey notes. I'm getting that white wine kind of thing. I'm getting some esters that aren't quite from Nelson. I'm getting a little bit of fruitiness. I'm getting a little bit of yeast character coming through from this. Almost, I don't know. I'm very tempted to pull this recipe up immediately right now, but I don't want to because I want to leave it minimized to see whether I get it right. It's not verdant. It's definitely not the verdant yeast. Shot in the dark, London Ale 3, as a guess. It's got a distinctive character. I mean, the colour's really nice. It's pale. It almost looks like pineapple juice. There's lacing, which is sticking around as I'm drinking it down. It's a 5% beer. It's a pale ale. So I'm guessing there might be some sort of carapils or caramalt or something which has been put in there to aid the head retention, which has been totally bent over by the fact that I'm guessing there's a shed load of hops in here. I can almost see the hop oil slick on the top of the glass, which we like. That's a good thing. But the flavour I'm getting, that limey note that comes from Nelson, that comes from all of the New Zealand beers. Faint hint of like a lime note. I'm getting something which tastes like pears. Definitely getting the grapey nature. I'm getting that white wine kind of almost dryness. It's quite a dry beer actually. Doesn't really wet your mouth particularly well. I'm gonna say it's some sort of, I want to say pale malt, something like a Maris Otter or something like that, or maybe a crisp Maris Otter or a crisp pale malt, something like that. But I'm getting a little bit of the biscuity kind of digestive note from the from the malt, but just with a wave an overriding wave of that Nelson grapiness with a little bit of almost pear, papaya, kind of green fruit. I'm not getting any off flavors at all. I'm getting no diacetyl, I'm getting no DMS, I'm getting no acetone, I'm getting no acetaldehyde, I'm not getting anything like that. This clearly was not burnt whilst it was in the kettle. There's none of that burnt flavour coming through. I mean, if this beer has been solely hopped with Nelson Sauvin, I'm very impressed. And I've always said, weirdly enough, carbonation's on point. I've always said that Nelson Sauvin is a beer that's very, very different. Sorry, Nelson Sauvin is a hop. You can tell I'm 6 pints in. Nelson Sauvin is a hop which is very different hot side to cold side. It's a dramatically different hop when it goes through a heat cycle. The oils that come out of it, they change massively, and the flavour profile changes massively when you run it through hot side compared to when you dry hop with it. This is a really nice beer. It's very dry. The final gravity, probably 1007, 1008, something like that. It's quite a dry beer. It doesn't particularly coat your mouth with wetness, as I like to describe it, which nobody else can kind of understand. But it doesn't make your mouth wet. It leaves you wanting more. It's a moreish beer. I'm getting notes of papaya. I'm getting lime. And I'm getting grape, and I'm not really getting much else. But the flavour of the beer, the overall build of the beer, the overriding, the gestalt of the beer is very much one of a, it leaves you wanting more. It's not, you could session this beer quite easily. It's not a one and done. This is a sessionable beer, and coming in at 5%, this is one of those beers that I could quite happily sink 5 or 6 of these. And there's no, with some of the beers that you have that are really cloudy, I tend to get it's not a definitive flavour, but I get a sensation in my mouth of, like, after a barbecue where you've really avoided all of the vegetables because it's a barbecue and you're basically supposed to eat meat and nothing else but meat. I get that kind of almost protein, that coating, that kind of, as my brother used to say when I was a kid, that nap-like velvet on the roof of your mouth. And you get that with certain hazy beers. You kind of have to chew them. You have to work your way through them. This is remarkably light for the beer that it is. That might be down to the lower ABV, but I think this beer is a sessionable beer. It's not a particularly complicated animal. I don't think there's a lot of malts in this. 2 at the outside, maybe 3 if he's added a bit of wheat. There's definitely only Nelson in here, unless there's some sort of invisible bittering hop, which I doubt. And I'm going to stake my house on the fact that this is London Ale 3, because I'm getting that definitive flavour that I always get a sensation of almost papaya that comes from that yeast. A lot of people may interpret it as kind of a grapefruit, but I always get papaya. I'm not getting much in the way of sourness, that sour bitterness that you get from a grapefruit. I'm not getting much in the way of that. you know, I vape a lot, so I'm probably missing that. But the overall flavour of the beer, I'm getting biscuit from the malt. I'm getting papaya, which I'm going to assume is from the yeast. I'm getting a hint of pear, which I'm going to say is from the Nelson. And then I get grape, and I get that white wine, almost essence. It's not really a flavour, it's more of an essence. And it's a dry beer. It's a drying beer when you drink it. It doesn't make your mouth wet. It doesn't make your mouth water. It kind of dries everything out. But this is a fantastic beer, and this is a beer that you could do damage to on a session. I almost wonder what this beer would be like through a hand pull. Because I think a reduction in the carbonation, a reducing of the carbonic acid may allow the flavours of the Nelson and the aroma of the Nelson to come through a little bit more. It's an incredibly complex hop, is Nelson, and I've said many, many times that it makes a great platform off of which to build. But when you're building on Nelson with Nelson, hot side and cold side, you do get a multi-tiered and almost stratus effect of the hot side Nelson and the cold side Nelson. They work remarkably well. Richie Brookes, this is a fucking fantastic beer. But the papaya and the pear and the white wine and the grape and the dryness of it and that little bit of biscuit that comes from the malt. I'm not getting much in the way of sweetness, but I am getting a biscuit flavour which comes through. This is a great beer. This is a beer I could do damage to. This is a beer that really, you need to try it through your hand pull, because I think this would work really, really well with just a reduction in the carbonation and that process of pushing it through a beer engine. I think you may be surprised at how well this would work. And I'm basing that off of the fact that at the Wild Child Open Day, when all of the guys from around the country came down to us, there was a Centennial beer. And it had Hallertauer Blanc in it as well. And when that was put through the hand pull, that was a fantastic beer. And I've said many times, I think Hallertauer Blanc and Nelson Sauvin are the same hop, just grown in different parts of the world. And that lime character that comes through, that may be what's making me think of the pear and the grape and think. Great beer, fucking fantastic beer, and excuse my language, I've tried not to swear on these reviews, but that is an absolute banger. Anyway, I'm going to put the recipe up there just now, or down here. It's going to be over this side of the window, and then we're going to see how right I am. So just let me open it up. So there we go. So we've got 4.6 kilos of Pops Pale, 300 grams of Carapils, and then we've got 15 grams of Sauvin at 60, 25 grams of Nelson Sauvin at 15, 20 grams of Nelson Sauvin at 5, 75 grams as a 20-minute hop stand Whirlpool, and 115 grams dry hop. Oh, look at the yeast! Look at the yeast! It's London Ale 3. It's almost like I'm a savant. What a beer. An absolute banger of a beer. Very well made, Richard. You can brew, even though you do keep cats. I have to say, that is one of the nicer Nelson beers I've ever had. And I had a Nelson and Earl Grey beer, which was really, really good, by the Yeasty Boys. This is a banger. You should be proud of that one, Richard. I've got one more of yours to go through. It's not going to get done tonight, but I've got one more of yours to get through. So thank you very much for sending me these beers. I appreciate it greatly. As soon as the IPL that's in the fermenter is done and dusted, one of those bottles along with a couple of others will be on the way to you. And thank you very much for watching this channel. I'm hoping that people appreciate that I put a lot of effort into tasting these beers, and I get hammered like I am whilst I'm reviewing these beers. So thanks very much for watching. Episode 7 is in the bag. I'll catch you guys later. See ya.